And are we recording? Okay. So our story reads, there are 236 third graders at Huron Elementary School. This is a very big school. You guys only have about 66 third graders. Yeah. All right. What is 236 rounded to the nearest 100? Now, if we did this the way that we learned originally, you guys would write out 236, and then you would know, since we're rounding to the nearest 100, that we would underline the hundreds. We look to the right, and then we have a 3 in the tens place. What is 4 or less? Yeah, so you guys are pros at this now. So you would know to let 2 stay, and then to make the rest zeros, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, here's how base 10 blocks work. You make sure that your base 10 blocks, you might want to move, Micah, because you can't see there. Okay, you want to make sure your base 10 blocks match that number, which they do. There's 100, 200, there's 3 tens, and there are 6 ones. Okay, now this is where it gets weird. They ask you to round that to the nearest 100, so you have to decide based off of a picture now if it would round up or down. That's why it's weird. It's really weird. I would never ask you to do this myself, but it might appear on a test in the future, so you have to see it. So right here, it says, use what you know about rounding to solve the problem. There are 10 tens in each 100. Do you guys know what they mean by that? So in one of these hundreds, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 tens. Then they say halfway between 0 tens and 10 tens is 5 tens. Exactly. It almost sounds like they're speaking like a different language we've never heard. All they mean is that halfway between 100 is 50. That's all they mean. So this is what the halfway point is. That's what they mean. Okay, so if you were talking about 100 and 200 on a number line, the halfway point would be 150, because there'd be one of these and then half of one of those. It's so confusing. It's the wordiest thing that's probably in your book. Okay? The wordiest. And I know that's a funny word, but the wordiest. Like they say too much in a short little sentence. Okay? And don't worry, every class so far that I've taught this to today is like, huh? All right. So, okay. We rounded to 200, right? Yes. So what you're supposed to do is look at your model right here. And since we know the hundreds amount already, there's 1, 2. Down, right? But who can tell the class why? Based off the model. Why, Grayson? Okay, good. He said 4 or less, let it rest. What is he referring to? What does he mean, 4 or less? What does he mean?
He's meaning if it's under 5, it's...
Under 5?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Under 5.
Under 5, it means go down.
But what does he mean in the picture, though? What is he talking about when he says 4 or less? Does he mean the hundreds, tens, or ones, Hudson?
10.
Yeah, the tens. If you notice, there's only 1, 2, 3 of those. That is 4 or less, like Grayson said. So that's how you know your answer would be 200. Okay? Raise your hand right now if you absolutely love the base 10 blocks. For rounding. For rounding. Oh, this is the class I've had the most hands up. Raise your hand if you're like, I kind of still don't get it. Okay, perfect. And that's what I expected, okay? So I am actually going to go erase the board at my desk, or flip the page at my desk. You guys are going to look on the next page. So my helper of the day can come clean the board for me. I'm going to go switch my page. So we're still in the same book. I'm just going to the next page. If you can hear me, clap twice. Okay, thank you. All right, now, here is the other problem on the next page. Thanks, Shannon. Okay, here's the other problem. So it says, now you can round another 3-digit number to the nearest 100. That's really important that you underline that in your instructions, guys, because they will throw you off on a test. That's where kids miss problems. So they'll start rounding to the wrong place value, and you miss the easiest points. Try solving a problem like the one on the previous page that we just did. Round 358. So there's my number. Round 358 to the nearest 100. So we'll check it in a little bit, but first we're going to try to use our base 10 blocks. So remember, if you're at home, that this is recording in case you have questions, okay? All right. So the number 358 is between what two hundreds? So if you had a number line, they mean like you hundreds on it. Look at this. Just look at the picture. How many hundreds are there right now? How many, Madison? 3. That's going to be your first 100 because this number comes after 300. What 100, if you look at my number line, comes after 300? Wyatt, what number comes after 300? Which 100?
400.
Thank you. 400. So for number 10, do you guys see that fly?
Yeah.
It's back.
Yeah, it just threw right
300 and 400. The fly wants to do math, I guess.
He ran right into me a few minutes ago.
All right. There's a fly that keeps flying through the classroom only when I'm teaching math. And yesterday it landed on my nose, and then it landed just everywhere. And it's just the worst fly in the world.
I think it's Jessica's.
They're laughing. Some of them are laughing.
It flew right into my eyeball.
Okay. Now it says, how many 10s are in 358? So this is not supposed to be tricky. How many 10s are here, Cade? How many?
5.
5. So right here you write 5 10s. Okay, and then, all right, what number of 10s is halfway between hundreds? That's that weird question again. So like, what number of 10s would be halfway? It's that weird one again. Who have I not heard? Yes.
50.
Yeah, well, number, not the value. Yeah, let's write 50. We can do that. 50 or 5 10s, right? Because that's kind of worded funny too. So halfway between 100 is 50. And that's why I said these books are worded funny, but I know for a fact that the questions use this wording on like the iReady test, like the big ones that you take, that you took in August and that you'll take in December and that you'll take at the end of the year. You take it 3 times.
So every other month?
No. Yeah. It basically is the beginning when I meet you, when you hardly know me and you're like, what does this lady want from me? And then in December, right before you go to Christmas break, when you're all hyper, that's when you take the second one, which is not, yeah, it's always hyper nice time.
And then you take.
And then the last one when you're all pumped for the end of the year. And you're going to be 4th graders.
So,
Okay. So you always take the test when you're not feeling like you. All right. Yes. No. You're not taking a test today on math. You will take a quiz on Wednesday. I call them quizzes, the ones that you take with me, but I will guide you through it again. It's not, just don't panic. All right. Now, what is 358 rounded to the nearest 100? So remember, we're using, focus. We are using the 10s to help us decide. So if there are 5 or more 10s, we add 100. But if there are 4 or less 10s, we go down and we stay at 300 because we let 300 rest. What do you think, Augsburger?
We add another 200
Yep. Why?
because there's 5 10s.
Yeah, very good. There are 5 10s, so that would be 5 or more. Right. It would tell this to raise the score. So this would round up to 400.
400.
Now, you guys are not going to, and I can't really type. I can't type because I have them here. But right here, it says, did you round up or down? So you would start your answer by saying, I rounded up, period. Don't write it. I'm just telling you. Just listen to me now. Then I would say, explain how you knew which 100 to round to. So I want someone to explain to the class what we would write here if I was actually having you do this. Jasmine?
So I rounded up because there was 5 10s and there was 6 ones, and it's more than 5 either way. We'll go up to 400.
Okay, good. So what I'm going to do is I would tweak her answer a little bit. So she said we rounded up because there were 5 10s and 6 1s, and either way you would round up to 400. So I'm going to change it. That's actually probably the best answer I've heard today for this. Okay, because earlier the class said 5 or more, praise the score. 4 less, let it rest. And that's all they wrote here.
Oh.
Now, if you were in my class and I was grading and I was the test grader, I would give you points because I know exactly what you mean and I know that you know what you're doing. When someone grades a test like at the end of the year, it might not be me. So what they're going to say, what score did you raise at the basketball game last night? No, really though, because you have to give labels. So you would say there were 5 10s, and I know if there's more than 5 10s or more than 5 10s, I raise and I round up my hundreds. Okay. Now remember that what I said, like we did greater than or less than. You never say I knew the answer was bigger because the alligator was hungry and chomped it. Is that a math strategy? No. So that is my trick for you to help remember which number would be larger or which one would be smaller. But we don't ever write. What was the one thing I told you never to write? How do you know the answer? What was the one answer that tons of kids wrote last year? I said, no, Logan. Cause what? I know because, or literally guys, last year they would write, cause I know.
Because I know I'm smart.
Oh, no. They would just write cause I know. Cause is what you call your cousin. So it's slang. And then they would write cause I know, period. Please don't ever write that on an answer. Okay. Now, guys, I'm going to stop recording this, but you can stick around for one more example. So it's short. It'll stop recording, remember?
It's because I know.